comment. Earlier today, the chief and I visited family, expressed our condolences to the mother of this young man, this 12-year-old Clinton Howell, who lost his life last night. It's a very, very difficult situation where a young man, by no fault of his own, is no longer with us. This community mourns the city and beyond, and we express our deepest sympathies and condolences, and we're trying in every way to comfort the family and the community at large. I'm joined here by two members of the City Council, obviously by the Chief, and we'll turn it over to the department in a second. But, you know, it's interesting, even though we are the largest city in Connecticut, it's still a small kind of community, and people know people. And when the Chief and I went over there this morning, I thought I recognized the house, having been there before, and we were there a couple of years back, and it wasn't to see this young man, but it was his brother who was in a wheelchair. And as a result of visiting him with the broken sidewalks in front of his house, we looked and we made a commitment at that time that we would go back and make physical improvements in front of the house for the family, and we did. And I didn't realize till I got inside and bent over to hug his mom that she says, you know, you remember you were here before, and we remembered a lot of the faces in the room. So it's a small community, a large city, but a small community that's touched, and where all of our hearts are torn apart over this. Many have come to support the family within the city agencies, the superintendents, some of the entities that are out there. That and so our hearts go out. And but I will say also, before turning it over to the Chief, with what he has shared with me so far, even over the last few hours, our police department is working as hard and as diligently as they can and do in every case, and we'll do everything, as the Chief committed to the family today when we were there, everything to make sure that we can't bring a life back, and we can join and mourn in sorrow, but we can, as a department, do everything to make sure that the individual or individuals who are responsible in any way for this are apprehended and dealt with according to law. And that's what we can do at this point. And under the Chief's leadership and the manpower of this department, that's being done. Let me turn it over to the Chief at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to speak, first of all, directly to the family of Clinton Howell. I just want to express my condolences and the sorrow that's in my heart. Last night, around 9 p.m., we began to get phone calls regarding a shooting that had taken place 289 Willow Street. Our police department responded with immediacy, and upon arrival, they discovered a victim that was transported later to Bridgeport Hospital. He was pronounced dead upon arrival. Like I told his dad and his mom, I can't bring him back, but I'm sure going to get justice for him and for his family. The men and women of the Bridgeport Police Department are second to none, and they're dedicated. I have with me Captain Fitzgerald, Brian Fitzgerald, who heads the Detectives Division. I guarantee you that somebody's going to be in custody very quickly. With that, I want to bring the captain up, and he's going to bring you up to date on what we can say at this time. Captain?
And Captain, before he comes, I just want to say to the members of the media that were at the house earlier today, you know, the Chief and I walked in, and we didn't want to, I think you understood the situation. It wasn't that we didn't want to talk to you. I felt out of respect, and the Chief did out of respect for the families. That was not the time or the place. We want to get information out, and we're doing it now. So our apologies for not being as available as we could, but I didn't want the family to think we'd gone over there with the intents of having a press with us. Go ahead.
Please.
Okay, so the Chief has identified our victim as Clinton Howell. He's a 12-year-old male, lives at 289 Willow Street with his mother and some other family members. He would have turned 13 next month in the middle of January. So patrol officers responded to the scene last night at about 9:03 p.m. On a report of gunshots with one victim struck by gunfire. The medics responded very quickly to the scene, and unfortunately, Mr. Howell suffered a grave wound to his chest that was not survivable. We were at the hospital, and the medics did work on him for some time before pronouncing him deceased late last night. Our detectives worked throughout the entire night. We did develop a lot of physical evidence, video evidence, and witness evidence that we're going to be able to use to build a strong case against those responsible. And I think that's all I have for now, unless anyone has any questions.
Captain, what could you tell us about the suspect or suspects' vehicle information?
Yeah, we believe at this point, based on the evidence that we've retrieved, that there was a vehicle involved and it was most likely a drive-by shooting.
How many suspects do you have, and what can you tell us about them?
We're looking at several individuals right now. We've identified one strong person of interest, and I would prefer not to say more at this point.
In custody yet?
Not in custody yet.
Color of the car, Captain?
We're still looking at that. The video at nighttime is difficult to discern, so we want to make sure we get it right before we put it out.
Any make or model, possibly?
It's looking like it was some type of small SUV.
Captain, do you know who they may have been targeting in this drive-by shooting?
We're getting some information that there may have been an ongoing dispute between somebody else that was with Mr. Howell that night.
A child or an adult? Or?
A young adult.
Who lives in the house?
Yes.
Was the I mean, we know he was not the intended target, but was somebody at that location? Was that location an area of interest for whoever did this?
So we're not sure if the suspects intentionally drove to that location or if it was a chance meeting. We just don't know it at this point.
So somebody associated with Mr. Howell, you believe, in some way, shape, or form?
It's a lead that we're exploring, but I think we're confident in saying that Mr. Howell was not the intended target.
But just to be clear, Clint was by himself outside the house at the time?
He was not.
He was not?
No.
Can you tell us who was with him?
There were at least 2 other males that were with him.
And do you suspect that one or both of those other males might have been the intended target?
That's a possibility we're looking at.
And they were over 18, young adults?
One of them.
What can you tell us about the video? What does it show? Where did they come from?
We have a lot of video cameras that are city-owned, and then we get cooperation through local businesses. So we've retrieved a lot of video evidence that our detectives are going through right now.
Are you prepared to release any of the video and or 911 calls?
Not at this point, no.
So
Sounds
either
like
of the 2 males that were with Clinton, did they live in the home?
That's something we're still looking at. They had several addresses.
It sounds like this newly installed shot spotter worked as intended. Did you want to expand on that at all?
ShotSpotter goes live tomorrow night at 5 p.m.
Sometimes information is hard to come by, but given the nature of the victim here and his age, have people been more forthcoming or people cooperating?
Yeah, we tend to find in these cases that people, it pulls at people's heartstrings, so they're a lot more forthcoming with information.
Captain, can you clarify the ShotSpotter? Because I believe a press release was put out saying that ShotSpotter alerted to the shooting. Can you clarify if it was working last night when this happened?
The system is still in beta development mode, for lack of a better term. We don't officially go live until tomorrow night.
Okay.
So was
So
it
was it-
used in this instance?
I don't want to comment further on it right now.
Can you just, you seemed very confident that an arrest is imminent. Can you explain a little bit as to why that is, or?
As I said earlier, we've developed a strong person of interest. We've seized some physical evidence and interviewed several people knowledgeable about the incident, so we're confident that we have strong leads in the case.
Just to be clear, sir, the strong person of interest is a person who was with the boy last night in front of his house.
No, that's incorrect.
It's incorrect.
That's incorrect, yeah.
Someone in the vehicle?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And how many times again was the victim shot?
We initially believed that he was shot twice based upon what we got from medical personnel at Bridgeport Hospital, but upon autopsy today, we learned that he was shot once in the chest.
Do you know what he was shot with, or is that something that's still being?
It's something we're still looking at this point.
Were both gunshots
It was a single gunshot wound to the chest.
Well, the release said at least he was hit twice.
That's the early information that we got from hospital staff last night, which was incorrect.
So single gunshot.
Sorry, Captain. What I meant to ask was, there were two people with the boy, and one of them, or both of them, were the intended target, you're saying?
We're exploring that. We don't know at this point. Yeah.
Mayor, this might be for you, I'm not sure, but I know he went to school right down the street from his home. I believe school is out for Christmas, but is there any plan for counselors at the school?
There is, and there's a councilwoman here, and I don't know if they wanted, you're certainly welcome to say a couple words as well. But yes, there is, and the superintendent of schools, obviously we've communicated, and as well as the crisis team support at that school, and they have agreed, and there will be some intervention. Obviously, that's an element of this tragedy that extends beyond an individual into a whole school of young people. You
One
wanna
more
add?
question for the captain. I'm sorry, do you want to?
No, I think that I offered. You okay, right? Okay.
You mentioned that there was an ongoing conflict between the target and the suspect or suspects. Can you give us any idea what the nature of that conflict was? Is it drug related? What is it?
It's information we're still developing. That's just a theory that we're going on right now based upon some early information we've received, and we still need to explore it a lot further.
The suspect, who is a strong person of interest, is he or she a person that is known to Bridgeport police?
Yes. Yeah.
I think you say and spell your first and last name.
It's Brian, B-R-I-A-N, F-I-T-Z-G-E-R-A-L-D.
You can, not cutting it off if people have more questions, but I'm sure as things become newsworthy and relevant and are able to be
That's good.
discussed, we can call again, Captain and Chief, and get that information out through you. Thank you for your time today, for being here, for covering.
Chief just wanted me to mention one
Oh,
more.
Chief, you want to say?
No, he wanted me to mention one thing.
Go ahead.
We just want to mention, with ShotSpotter going live tomorrow night, there's been a lot of interest in that and press coverage. And what we'd like to say about that is it's a tool that we're going to use to help suppress violent crime and to detect gunshots around the city. But we still ask that the public call 911 if they hear gunshots. While the system is reliable, we still rely on the public's cooperation beyond what the system's capabilities are. So we would still like people to call.
One final question. Has there been any weapon recovered in this incident?
I don't want to comment on that at this point.
Captain, how many shots were fired in all? One, or?
It's something we're still looking at. We need to examine ballistic evidence.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone.
Great job.
Thanks for coming, too. I didn't know.